All right, we are ready to get started. So, welcome everyone. I am Paula Amaker, your realtor and host for today's Home Buyer Journey seminar. And congratulations to each and every one of you. You have actually taken the very first step towards home ownership. And I wish I had some confetti to just say congratulations to you as you get started on this. So as we get started, and there my screen goes again. Okay, here we go. I want to touch on some housekeeping notes. I would like to ask if everyone would just please stay muted until you're invited to speak. You will have an opportunity at the end when we're doing our questions and answers to either unmute yourself or you can put your questions into chat. And like I said, at the end, we're going to have questions and answer. We just want to make sure that we're moving through the presentation smoothly and efficiently, allowing each one of the presenters to share their information for you. We don't want you to miss out on any of that. So if you have any questions, please write them down so that we can answer all of those at the end. And as we get started, if you wouldn't mind, just take a moment, put in the chat what city you are viewing from. We just want to get an idea of where you are so we can just celebrate. Go ahead and rep your city. We want you to rep your city. And as we're going through, let me just point out a few Zoom tips. So, as you are viewing for your viewing pleasure, you may find it easier to put your Zoom on speaker view. This way, you get the full view of the presentation. Should your Wi-Fi or connection go out during the presentation, just go back into that email and hit that link and get right back into the meeting, okay? And lastly, make sure that the name that you use to register is the name that shows up on your Zoom picture because at the end when we're doing our drawings and our free giveaways, we want to make sure that whatever drawings we have that it goes to that person based upon the registration. Okay, so let's see. My assistant, can you check the chat? Where do we have people from? Let's see.
Yeah, Bowie.
Hmm?
Bowie.
Bowie. Bowie is in the house. Who? All the Bowie people. All right. Well, welcome, Bowie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's go here. Now, but as we're getting started, so if you are excited about this presentation, some things I would like you to do. I want you to put a one in the chat. Just put a one in the chat to say, yes, I'm excited. I'm here. I'm ready to learn, get information, to put your own personal action plan together. We want you to be engaged and participate in this presentation. So, and another thing, if you hear something new, something you haven't heard before, in the chat, I want you to type new so that that presenter know that, hey, they're sharing some new information that is new to you. Now, if you hear something that you knew before, give us a thumbs up so that we know that, yes, you were aware of that information. We want you to be engaged in this presentation as well. This is all about just having a conversation and giving you all the information that you need, okay? As we are getting started, I want to share my role as your realtor. What does that look like as your realtor? You may see here that my tagline is meeting people where they are and helping them along their journey, but it's much more than a tagline. This is how I run my business. This is how I meet with individuals. I want to meet you exactly where you are and help you every single step of the way. Now, one of the first things we do, people want to know, well, then what is it like when I do meet with a realtor? Okay, well, when you meet with me for that very first time, one of the first things we're going to do is have a consultation. And it's just a conversation, just like we're having now. We're going to have a consultation. You're going to tell me what your goals are. You're going to tell me what those challenges are that you're facing. And that way, I'm able to help put an action plan together unique to you and your family and help you overcome whatever those obstacles are, whether it's credit, whether it's savings, whatever that situation is, I'm going to help you put an action plan together to overcome that. I want to learn about your needs, your budget, and your lifestyle. Do you want to be in the suburbs? Do you want to be in the city? Is there a certain school district that you're looking for? I want to hear about all of that. Another thing, I want to set realistic expectation. I'm going to tell you, I'm that realtor that's going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. This is how I keep it very transparent and honest with you because that's exactly what you want. You want someone that's going to be honest with you and walk you through this process. And lastly, as I said before, we're going to create your own personalized action plan because each individual has a unique reason, place for their journey on home ownership. So, step number two after you meet with me is I'm going to connect you with an awesome lender. And you will meet our lender today. Pam is going to go over these steps here. She's going to talk about what it means to get pre approved with confidence. So, once you get pre approved and she says, hey, you are pre approved for $300, $400, $500,000 to buy your home, you are able to walk out with confidence and tour these beautiful homes that fit within your budget and what it is that you want to pay on a monthly basis. Number two, she's going to explore different payment and assistance and grant programs to help you through those challenges of saving, should that be a situation with you. And then lastly, she wants you to understand your financing options. Is it a conventional? If it's FHA, she's going to go through all of that with you. Step three of my role is helping you to find that right home. So after you tell me about all of your different goals and what it is that you're looking for in a home, hey, Paula, I want a home that's a single family home, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths with a finished basement and a fenced in backyard. Then those are the properties that you're going to see. I'm going to set up a property search portal for you. And you're going to see all of these homes that number one fit within your budget, two fits in the area, city or suburbs that you want to see. And you're going to be able to go out on tours with that, which is the next step. Once you find those homes that you like, we're going to schedule an appointment and I'm going to take you out so that you can go and walk through each one of these properties. I tell people, don't always trust those pictures. They can look beautiful and wonderful. And then when you step into that property, it could be something a little different. So we're going to walk through each one of those properties. The whole point of this is I want to save you time, stress, and take the guesswork out of this whole process. Because as a first time home buyer or any buyer, going through this process can be overwhelming. It can be a little scary. It can be nervous. But I want you to understand that with all of that, you have an entire team behind you. You are not doing this alone. You have me and the entire team, and we are with you every step of the way. Once you find a home that you like, that's when we're now going to be making an offer. So, my job is to help you write a strong offer. We're going to negotiate what is the price you want? What are the terms you want? Do you want an inspection? Do you want seller contingency, seller's help? We're also going to be talking about managing your contract and your contingencies. There's certain deadlines that you need to meet, but don't you worry because me and my team are going to make sure that you never miss a deadline. One of the things that we do is I tell you where we currently are in the process, what's coming next, and what to expect. And we do that through the entire way through the home buying process. That eliminates some of the stress and anxiety that you possibly feel when you understand and know what's going on next. Remember, I'm always an advocate for your best interest, not mine, not the sellers, but you and your family. 5, guiding you to closing because that's exactly where we want to be. Once you find a home that you like, one of the first things we do after your offer is accepted is we have a home inspection. And you're going to hear from Joseph, who is our inspector from Pillar to Post, and he's going to explain to you what a home inspection is and what to expect. But I'm right there with you at your home inspection. A lot of times buyers go in and they look at the shiny and the pretty and, oh, this is lovely in the neighborhood. It's my responsibility and the inspector to look for those things that you may not know to look for. Safety, hazards, and some other things. We don't want that once you buy your home and 2 weeks later, your water heater goes out. Another thing is I'm going to support you through the appraisal and the title process. You're going to hear from the lovely Kiana Moore with Assurance Title, and she's going to tell you what's up with all of that paperwork that you have to sign and what actually you should expect during title. And the last thing I want to do is to hand you those keys. I have to tell you, I am just as happy, overjoyed to hand you those keys as you are to receive them. And so that is just a brief summary of how I am going to support you as your realtor through this whole home buying process. Again, I want you to know that I and my team are going to be with you every single step of the way. Like I said before, meeting people where they are and helping them along their journey. Okay. All right. Now let's get this party rolling. All right. Let me see you throw a one up in the chat if you are ready to get information from our lovely Lori Woodruff, who is our credit specialist. She is going to explain to you how to understand your credit and how to improve it if that should be the case. So throw a one up in there as we welcome Lori to the Zoom platform.
Thank you, love. Thank you. Thank you, Renee. You did such an amazing job. And you can breathe. All right. Big shout out to you for doing something like this, especially on a day where anybody could be doing anything. And I commend you, Dee, Kiana, Joseph, everyone who is here. I want to just say thank you. And you want to congratulate yourself because it takes a decision. So if you would drop in the chat, the one word that fell in my spirit most for today is decision. Because as Paula had said, there are so many parts of buying a home. And when you get to the part where you talk with a real estate agent, that's just part one. There are so many other parts to purchasing a home that you have no idea, but knowing that she is your contact, she is your point of contact to point you into the right direction. It's about listening to what you need. Everyone may not have the same situation. So of course, everyone doesn't need the same prescription. So my job today is really just to go through a lot of the credit conversations, the hard conversations, the uncomfortable conversations that people don't like to have. And if I could be real with you, I just wanted to share with you a story of a young lady that I had assisted a little while ago. And again, credit is very sensitive. It's not a topic that everyone loves to talk about, but it's something that needs to be talked about because we can't get insurance. We can't get a rental car. We can't rent a home. And we certainly can't buy a home if those three digits are not aligned the proper way. So think about it. This was a couple of years ago. A real estate agent had brought a 62-year young woman to me, and she said, this woman cannot buy. She's not interested in buying, but she's more so interested in renting, and we just cannot get her applications through. And I simply said, let's talk to her. Let's see what's going on. What does she want to do? She wants to simply rent. Now think about that. This is not, I want to buy a Taj Mahal. I want to get a Lamborghini. This is, I need a home for my family. That's it. So when we had the conversation, she made the decision that she knew her 552 credit score was not getting her in the door of any property. And with that, we sat down, we looked at her credit report, and the three negative things that stood out were she had a judgment that still had a balance. She still had an open collection that still had a balance. And she also had a bankruptcy that was discharged just a couple of years ago. So when you look at those things. A lot of people will judge you and say no, because your 552 credit score is what it is. We're not going to allow you to rent this property. And so we work together. Now, by law is what I'm referring to the next couple of steps. She had the law on her side, where the Fair Credit Reporting Act helped her get all of those things deleted. And if you know that you have rights, you have the law behind you, then you know that these things could be disputed and deleted. And she made the decision, remember, drop that word in the chat, decision. She made the decision to say enough is enough and I need to move forward to get my score better. So she disputed the process. Back then, AI was not on our side. We now have AI, so we now have AI to help out with the process of making things quicker. Dispute letters were prepared with all credit bureaus. And I said, did this judgment, did they ask permission for it to be on your credit report? She says, no. She's my spunky 62-year-old. All right. She's my spunky one. And I said, okay, this collection, did they ask permission to get on your credit report? She said, no, I didn't get anything. And I said, how about the bankruptcy? Was there special permission or a mail, anything in the mail that said it had to go on your credit report? And she says, no. So I want you to understand you have rights, and by the Fair Credit Reporting Act, these items can be disputed. They were, and we disputed them. Within 40 days, she calls me screaming. And I knew something had happened great because she's excited. And I knew 30 days had just had passed. Guys, you have 30 days to have the credit bureaus dispute these negative items. So no matter what you may have, whether it's judgments, collections, late payments, student loans are a top one, you can dispute any and every negative item that's on your credit. And I want you to understand you have that right. She did that process, and not to say that they never existed, but should it have been placed on her credit report is the legality of it. And that's how she got 3 things deleted off her credit report. So guys, she went from a 552 to a 682 in a matter of 40 days. Is that going to happen for everyone? Not everyone. But she made the what? She made the decision to at least get that process started, to at least begin the process, to try. She went all the way to a 682 credit score. And if you know, the lower the credit score, the lower the chances of you getting all the options out there. 682, she says, now I can buy a home if I want to. And she did just that. So all of that, guys, within 40 days, a forever generational renter. She was the first in her family to purchase a home. Now, Paula, this home housewarming that she invited me to, the kitchen was just full of foil and food. That's all I saw was foil, food, drinks all over the place. She was so proud because she remembered she didn't have to do anything. She could have sat back and said, well, this is just my situation. But she actually moved forward, made the decision, and made the choice of seeing a 682 credit score. And she got assistance from the state of Maryland, got her in for a very low amount of money. So I share that story with you because I want you to know that there's hope. No matter if your score is a 710, 550, or the high fours, I just want you to know that you do have options. And I want to share with you 3 things right now that can give you some ways that you can boost your own credit score. Because everything doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Everything doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And I want you to remember, it doesn't have to. Okay. So are we ready for at least 3 tips? Can I give you at least 3 tips that I provide my clients on a day-to-day basis to get their credit in the best position possible? Yeah. Are we ready? I mean, these are free tips. Now, at the end, what I will do is I'll give you a QR code so that you can keep them with you. And that way, if you miss anything, that way you can take that with you. Having bad credit is expensive. It's going to cost more money to have a low credit score than to have a higher credit score. And as you speak with the lender right here, you'll know there are ways to get it up, but you also need a credit specialist to kind of talk with you with a plan of action on what is it going to take to get your credit, not your neighbors, not what your uncle did 40 years ago, what you need for your plan of action to get things moving forward. So here are 3 things that I share with my clients to help improve their own credit. Now, many of us pay rent. You're paying something where you live. So number 1 is I use a third party called Rental Karma. Rental Karma, Karma, not Credit Karma. Don't get it twisted. It's not Credit Karma. Rental Karma is a third party, and they turn your monthly rental payments into a positive credit history. So think about the rent history that you have. Are you getting proper credit for that right now? Is that boosting your own credit score? They're reporting to TransUnion and Equifax. And what I've seen is anywhere up to 20 to 40 points, typically, that your increase can happen with your credit scores simply within 2 weeks because you made the what? The decision. All right. I did this personally for myself, and I saw 40 points increase just within 2 weeks. This was a strategy for me purchasing a home. This was a strategy for me building my business credit. So I had to get my personal credit into a specific area that I wanted. I wanted to get it as high as possible. So these are the things that we sit down and talk about to see what are some ways that you can improve your own credit. I would take down rentalkarma.com. Discount code is there so that you can save some money on any and everything to help this process go better. Okay. If you're renting from grandma, you can get this. If you're renting from a landlord or a property management company, it's okay. Now, can we say, are we renting from our girlfriend, but our girlfriend doesn't own the house? No. No. It's got to make sense. All right. As long as you are making payments and it's verifiable, the Rental Karma folks will get in touch with the landlord. They will ask, are they making payments? Yes. Have they been over 30 days late? No. Okay, great. Great. Sign and date. That's all that's needed. That's the verification that's needed. So I love that. It's very simple. And within 2 weeks, you can see that improvement. We can do that, right? All right, pretty simple. All right, the next boost, which you can do right now today, is with Experian Boost. I love this one. It's free. You can add any of the things that you are typically paying on a regular basis, such as your phone bill, your insurance, Netflix, utility bills. All these things get extracted from your bank statement. So the bank, it sees AI, artificial intelligence, it's doing its magic to see what are you paying on a regular basis. And it's only going to pull the positive accounts and it's going to put it onto your credit report. Completely free. It adds the positive trade lines only. So these are the things that you can do to keep your credit score up to date, is go to Experian Boost to get your credit up to par. You like that? It's an easy one. All right. And the last one I want to share with you is something that you can do that would help report to the credit bureaus. And this is with the company called Self. Okay. Again, I will give you all of these 3 plus the credit report that I use as well at the end. Self is a great company that you can use that is, it acts as a revolving credit line. And you're making small payments. You choose whatever monthly payment that you want to pay. And this revolving credit utilization is what's needed to help build your credit. You need to build your credit such as someone with a resume has to build their credit. All right. The same way we have resumes that talk about where we've worked, where we've been, we have credit reports to do the same thing. The more trade lines that you have, the better. And the lower balances that you have on your credit cards, the better. So for example, here's one trick that I can pretty much tell is when you are having a credit card, okay, no fee for Experian Boost, okay? If you go late, it's not going to get reported to Experian. That's the beautiful thing. They're only looking for the positive things, so they only see the good in us. So that's the only thing. So they only report the positive. All right. If you go left and if all of a sudden you start getting late, it's not going to report. So that's the good thing. One of the conversations that I typically have with clients, and I'll wrap it up, is when you have a credit card, let's say it has a $1,000 balance. you should be able to keep that balance to at least 30% of the limit or lower. You can maintain that yourself, and that will help raise your credit score immediately. Most of the time, I'm looking at credit reports every single week, and the main thing is the balance is the credit limit. And, and that's the reason why the credit score is low, because the balance is too high. So one thing you can do is at least keep that balance down to at least 30% of your limit. You should be able to see a lower credit score, excuse me, a higher credit score for yourself. Okay. Consistency wins, also just making the decision to make this happen. Like I shared with you, the 62-year young woman, she didn't have to buy a home. That was not on her radar at first. But when you have a professional in front of you that's giving you your plan of action, then that's who you want to follow. You don't want to follow, well, see, what happened was my friend did this, or see, this is what my uncle did 30 years ago. They're not the same. So you want to make sure that you're talking with a professional in front of you that understands exactly what you need to get done. And this team that you have here is that. And if you have any specific questions about credit, definitely let's reach out so we can review your personal credit and see what is it going to take. The consistency is going to play out well for you. All right. When we are making these decisions in 2025, we are almost done with the year. If you'd like to get those links and the credit report, you can actually scan that if you like, and that will give you access to all the three that I shared with you, plus the credit company that I use. Now, a lot of people ask, I need to pull my credit report. I'm thinking about renting a property. Well, I suggest you take a look at your credit report first, and credit monitoring is attached to that. Why is credit monitoring important? Because as much insurance as we have on our cell phones, on our bodies, on our cars, why don't we have the same protection for our own credit? We don't. We don't think that that's an important thing. Credit monitoring is going to give you the notification if your balance is low, if your credit is over the limit. If someone is even trying to get credit in your name, credit monitoring is going to let you know. So why not be ahead of these situations instead of, oh, I'm at the car dealership and they told me my credit score is a 452. You would have known that. You would have known that if you would have had credit monitoring. You would have already known. Let me be a little bit more proactive about getting this up so that I can go into the dealership and flex a little bit better with a better credit score to get better terms. Does that make sense? All right. So all we're talking about this year, this month, is making the decision and being proactive and staying consistent with that. Because the higher the credit scores, the better options that we have. And those are the ways that you can keep your credit in the best position. So definitely reach out if you have any specific questions about your credit. I'm honored to take a look at it with no charge and take a look and see what kind of things can be done to get you in the better position to work with this team of professionals to get you into a new home. Back to you, Paula.
Fantastic. Lori, thank you so much. And you never disappoint because I'm telling you, you always sharing practical things as it relates to that credit that people can do today. I mean, right now, you can go to Boost. You can do these things to boost your credit score just a little bit. Any little bit helps. So now, without further ado, I want to move on here. Let me just a second here, is just waiting for my screen to decide that it wants to act right. It always happens. But nonetheless, I want to bring to the stage our next presenter, which is going to be our lender, Pam, with direct mortgage loans. And I always tell people, if Pam can't get you done, no one can get you done. So I want to go ahead and bring Pam to the stage. And Pam, give me just a second. I am going to let you share your screen.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, there we are. Pam, go ahead and tell everyone, share information. I know a lot of people are really interested in those grants and those down payment assistance because, hey, you are the money lady. So tell us how we can get that money.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Paula. Excited to share with you a little bit about the home buying process today. So as Paula mentioned, I'm a loan officer and branch manager of direct mortgage loans. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. I am passionate about educating first-time buyers, repeat buyers, and also helping make sure we're fitting you into the right program and getting you as much assistance as possible. So we'll definitely take a deeper dive into that in my slides here this morning. So first thing that I wanted to kind of go over with you is what to expect from application all the way through closing. So a lot of us, myself included, we kind of start off trolling the internet, looking at homes, but really kind of your next best step is to connect with a lender. And I joke that if I could have spoken to you straight out of the womb, along with Lori, to have your credit in shape, we would be well prepared. So realistically, that's not possible, but talking to you as early on, even a year out before you're ready to buy is great. The better prepared that you are, the smoother that this whole process is going to be. So we as lenders these days can now perform what are called soft pulls. So no impact on your credit is necessary for us to take a peek and kind of get you started. So that pre-qualification call, I'm just going to be gathering income, assets, kind of getting a rough idea of where you're looking to buy, how much you want to spend, what type of property. That way I know that I'm structuring your financing correctly. Once I have you pre-qualified, I will then request a set of income documents that we need for your approval, pay stubs, W-2s, etc. Once I have those, we're going to kind of start to go over numbers. So I'm going to give you kind of a what if scenario based on your ceiling for what I can qualify you for, and then also your personal budget. At this time, we will also talk about down payment assistance, grants, and any of the programs that I can access for you. This way, before you actually go home shopping, you're going to know what to expect from a monthly payment perspective and what your cash to close options will be. And when I say options, there truly will be a lot of options at times. So in my next few slides, we'll start to talk about the down payment and programs and grants, but what you'll see, a lot of them are location related. So that's where when we do that pre-qualification call, we're going to go over many different scenarios, just depending on what you find in a home. Once I've gathered your documents and we've gone over those numbers, you're going to start your home shopping with Paula. This is the exciting part. I will share I'm not the exciting part, although I'm a necessary part. So once you start home shopping and you find a particular property, we are going to then circle back together with Paula, you and I, and we're going to go over numbers pertaining to that home. So again, you're going to be highly informed of what to expect from your monthly payment perspective and cash to close. If those numbers work for you and you want to proceed with your offer, Paula will prepare your contract and offer to submit to the seller. Very oftentimes you may negotiate back and forth, but once that offer is accepted, you will now begin the actual underwriting process of your loan. So there's pre-qualification and pre-approval, but then once you're accepted, the process really continues all the way through closing. So different than a personal loan or car loan, this process, again, is continuing up until settlement. So one thing that I point out is just keep an eye on your income, savings, and credit until settlement. And if you're going to change something in the regards to any of those items, just talk to us. You want to think of your loan officer sort of as an attorney going to the judge to get you a loan. So if you're going to change jobs or something, just talk to me. A lot of times it's not going to create a hurdle. We just want to make sure we set you up for success for a smooth settlement. All right, so once you're under contract, you will have completed a home inspection with your agent. After that's completed, we as the lender will order your appraisal. Your appraisal is to determine the value of the property based on 3 to 5 other home sales. Once that has come in and we've worked through that, we continue through processing and underwriting. A lot of times our underwriter is going to ask for a set of the updated documentation. The one thing that I will share is the more organized you are through the process, the easier all of this will be. So Once we ask for those documents, typically this process will move very quickly. So the quicker you get them into us, the quicker we're going to be able to issue what's called your clear to close. Now, in our industry, we all love this terminology because it basically means that you've gathered all of the necessary items for your mortgage and you're finally getting me out of your hair, which I promise, although you may like me, you'll still want me out of your hair. So once you've gotten through that and we've issued the clear to close, you would then go to settlement with the title company, which is, Deanna's going to talk to you a little bit about title, but they are the legal component in the transaction that is going to transfer the deed from the seller to you. Also at settlement, that's when any of your cash to close would be due. So you would have wired that to the title company, sign your documents, and be handed the keys. The great thing about our local market here is that you actually become the owner right away. So we all do what's called wet funding. You're basically able to move into the property right away. So I've had settlements where the moving truck is backing into the driveway and my clients are actually signing on the countertop. So yeah, you would be moving on to closing right away after that. Now, one thing that I will share, and as you've probably noticed, is that a good team within this process is huge. And I always offer for my clients, listen, I have painters, plumbers, anything that you need throughout this process, an insurance agent, please reach out to me. I will also offer this throughout the process, but our goal is to make the entire process as easy as possible. All right, awesome. So now we're going to move on to different mortgage products. So as I mentioned on pre-qualification, you're going to go over with me the different types of mortgages that you are approved for. And sometimes there is just one that's glaringly obvious and that's the best fit or maybe only fit. And other times there could be a few that you qualify for. So the first mortgage product that you'll notice is a conventional loan. These are typically for clients who have higher credit scores. They're also what's used for second homes and investment properties. These allow between 3 and 5% down. Then the next one would be FHA financing, which allows for more flexible and income requirements, and it allows for 3.5% down. Many buyers will often qualify for both, and sometimes the property will determine which way we're going. Oftentimes, FHA may have a lower interest rate, so it depends on which route we're going, sometimes based on the property, interest rates. There could be several reasons why we choose one over the other, but I'm always going to explain the benefits to each and kind of also let you determine what's most comfortable for you. USDA financing is going to be for rural or more remote areas. So there is literally a map we plug the address in to determine if the property is eligible. So Carroll County, Cecil County, more of those kind of areas are going to be used for USDA. These do allow for lower credit scores and 0% down. VA is for military members, veterans, and their surviving spouses. Siblings, children, unfortunately, are not able to use VA financing. I get that question pretty often. And they do allow for 0% down as well. All right, awesome. I'm not going to dive too much into credit because Lori did an amazing job and I actually learned some things from her, which is awesome. But the one thing that I will say on credit, just a couple tips and tricks here. And the number one thing, well, I would start with is the number one way to piggyback what Lori had mentioned to boost your credit score is going to be through the utilization of a credit card, using it to 20% or 30% and paying it off to 0. This is like going to the gym to build your credit muscle. A lot of times people think, okay, I have a limit of $1,000 and my credit card max is, or my credit card limit is 900, but I'm paying that credit card on time. And they think, oh, my credit score should be strong. That causes a tremendous strain on your credit. So you really want to avoid that and use the low utilization. Also, as you'll see, like credit mix that it shows here in the graph, 10%, that's going to be student loans, car loans, personal loans. Those do not have a huge impact on your credit. However, if you are ever late on them, they do have a huge negative impact. So really avoiding late. And if you are having financial hurdles, if you can lean on items that are not reporting to credit, that really is ideal. Another kind of loophole of our industry that I'll share with you is that if you jump on someone, let's say a family member or close friends, credit card that has a very positive history as an authorized user, you actually gain their credit age and their positive credit. So that is a very good way to boost your credit score. So if I put my daughter on my credit card as an authorized user, believe it or not, she's going to get that credit history. So that can be a great way to strengthen your scores. Also, paid for deletes on collections can also be a way to get all collection items actually removed from your credit. So just a couple additional tips on credit there. All right. Oh, also when it comes to credit, I have, and I think Kiana mentioned this in the chat, a lot of people think you need to have superior credit to purchase a home. I will share with you, it is actually easier to purchase a home oftentimes or get qualified than it is to rent these days. We go down to a 580 credit score, and we can often even go below that with an exception. We also have a lot of tools to boost your credit score. So again, there is no downside to applying. I love when I hear someone's like, oh, I don't think that I'm going to qualify, and then I can qualify. I'm like, what did you know? I think people think it's harder to buy a home than it really is. So if you take anything away from today, it's that you don't need to have a superior credit score to qualify. All right, awesome. So next thing I want to dive into is just what makes up your mortgage payment. You're going to see on the internet, of course, a lot of misinformation. So if you go to Zillow and you see a payment there, bear in mind that is a payment with 20% down. So that is not a realistic payment. You want to get your payment from your loan officer. I'm really anal about giving you accurate numbers to make sure you really love me at the beginning of the month when you make your mortgage payment. So first section is going to be principal. That's what you pay down on the mortgage each month. So that's part of your payment. Interest, which is the interest paid to the bank. This is tax deductible. So bear in mind, renting and owning are not the same. Property taxes. These are also tax deductible and built right into your mortgage payment. Homeowner's insurance, which protects the property against fire or hazard, is also built into your mortgage payment. And then lastly, mortgage insurance, which is a fee if you don't put down 20%, is also now, again, tax deductible. So this is what's going to make up your mortgage payment. Also bear in mind, if you're renting and you're in a lease, when you start off your mortgage, you actually don't pay a payment the month you settle or the month after. Therefore, when it comes to timing, you're actually going to push your mortgage payment further out than one would think. So if you have to break a lease, that's something to kind of keep in mind, that we can really time this in a way that may be beneficial when breaking that lease. All right, and my last slide that I want to touch on today is down payment assistance programs and grants. So our company is local, so one thing that we really hone in on is getting you as much money as possible. This list is always changing, morphing. There's always programs coming and going. So currently we have the Baltimore City Live Near Your Work grants. They also have their CDBG block grant. These programs are giving anywhere between $10,000 and $40,000. So it depends on the property, your employer, the location, if it was vacant. Again, so we are going to try to get you as much money as possible, and Baltimore City has a lot of great options. Montgomery County, PG County both have $25,000. Washington County has, I think, $15,000. Hagerstown, Howard County has up to $40,000. The FHLB grant is giving up to $20,000. And then to the right of the graph, you're going to see the Maryland Mortgage Program. So this is a very widely used program. It's our most popular program throughout the state. It gives between 5 to 6% of your down payment and closing costs. So when we mentioned a conventional loan requires 3% down, you can actually get all of that covered by the state of Maryland, plus 2% of your closing costs. So with these programs, a lot of my clients are coming to the table with little to no money. And what we've seen in the market lately that I'm excited about is a shift into the buyer's favor that is also allowing us to get more costs covered by the seller. We also have a quirky down payment solar program. We also have a program that is for people who are disabled. And then we have a program for people who have student loan debt. So on pre-qualification, I don't want you to feel like you have to memorize these. I'm basically going to try and access every single program I can. We can stack them a lot of times together based on your qualification, again, to get you as much money as possible. All right, and that is the end of my slides.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Pam, you have shared a couple of new things with me as well. $40,000 now? I was just thinking
Yes,
it
that Howard County one is
was
awesome.
flat.
What'd you say? Sorry, I couldn't hear you there.
Oh, I was like all the way up to $40,000. I thought it was only like up to 20. So this is definitely new information for me. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, those programs are awesome. Definitely.
All right, now moving forward, we are going to get my screen to share right this time, hopefully. See, that was the beautiful picture of Pam I was trying to get up. Coming to the stage now is Joseph Brandley with Pillar to Post. So once you purchase a home, your offer, I'm sorry, not when you purchase, once your offer on a home is accepted, one of the first things that we do is schedule your home inspection. And like I've said previously, I am there with you at your home inspection. And Joseph is going to go through and let you know what to expect from a home inspection. A lot of times, as you're as a buyer, you're looking at what's beautiful and what's nice. Joseph and I, we want to take a look at this property and to see if, again, if there's any things that are safety issues and hazard issues or anything that's going to cost you money down the road. So I am going to turn it over to Joseph. Joseph, feel free to go ahead and share your screen.
Okay, I think I'm sharing now. Can you see it?
I just see your lovely face.
Oh, okay. Let me go back here. I hit the share.
And then you should click on whatever,
Yeah.
if you click,
Yep.
okay, it looks like it's coming up.
Now I think we're good. Let's see. Pull up my PowerPoint. You see my slideshow now?
I do. You're going to press your
There we go.
present button. There we are. Yep, we
I
see
think we're
it
good,
nicely.
right? Great. Well, thanks for having me, Paula. And it's great to be here with the other professionals. Some great information so far. And I'm excited too. I love to help people in this process of buying a new home. And congratulations to you all that are on that path, either seeking a home or maybe under contract already. So as Paula mentioned, well, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in the home inspection business 15 years. I'm the owner of the Pillar to Post franchise in the Baltimore area, which is Baltimore City and the five surrounding counties. And we are actually the largest home inspection company in North America. So we have over 500 franchises, and I think we provide the best service you can get. And we certainly have the best technology. So there's some really cool things with what we do to provide you a report that's easy to understand and help you negotiate the best deal. So I'm just going to give you some information on home inspections in general to help you know what to expect. So as Paul mentioned, the first step when you're under contract, congratulations. You have to take a look at what type of contract you have. And if there's possibility you might have one that's as is, which with inspections, you have a right as a home buyer. Doesn't matter what type of contract you're under to get an inspection. An as is contract, you would be just doing that for your own information. But there's, whoops, you can also choose to, and I like to be interactive. So anybody have the word there? You can choose to do what with that right? Anybody want to speak up? Well, the word is waive. So you can choose to waive the right to have a home inspection. But if you don't waive that right, you can have an inspection. Then your contract is contingent on the inspection, which gives you the power of two very important moves. Number one, you can further negotiate, or number two, you can back out. So home inspection is really a safety for you. Gives you the power to make decisions. and decide whether or not you want to move forward or not with that house. So the first thing when you decide to schedule a home inspection, Maryland is a state that requires licensing. So I'm a licensed home inspector. And because we're a licensed state, the state has adopted a standard called ASHI, which stands for American Society of Home Inspectors. And that standard governs very clearly what our job is and what it isn't. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that as we move on. But you first have to understand that a home inspection is a visual inspection. And so because it's licensed and we're entering into a contractual agreement, that's between me as the home inspector and you as the buyer. So I'm actually kind of an independent agent for you. I don't have a contractual relationship with your agent. And I'm here to help you understand what some of the liabilities, issues with the property are so that you can make an informed decision. And we are required to carry insurance in order to get our home inspection license because we're a licensed state. So visual inspection, some things about a visual inspection is we can only report on what we can see, access, and test or operate. I'm just going to run through these quick, and then we'll talk a little bit more about each one as the slides go on. A visual inspection also has limitations. We're going to talk about that. And it's not a warranty or a guarantee. So we can't guarantee that because something is operating at the time of inspection that it necessarily is going to operate the day after you move in. And I'll talk more about that. We are also not responsible for latent defects, and I'll explain what those are. It's not a code inspection. Some people often get confused with that, and sometimes you'll hear, actually many times, home inspectors mistakenly cite building code. But houses as they're bought and sold are not required to be brought up to current codes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that too as we move on. Let's see. And the limit of liability, according to our visual inspection agreement, is for a year. And we also don't do environmental testing, and I'll explain what that is as well. So let's dive into this. So the purpose of the inspection is basically we're looking for damage or deficiencies. We're testing for function, determining the useful viability. So that means like with the major equipment like a water heater, furnace, condensing unit, by ASHI standards, we're required to give you an idea of the age of that and the viability, meaning if it's near the end of its lifespan or middle of its life or beginning, but it's not giving any guarantee. It's just giving you the information so you know roughly what the components of your house are and can plan for, replacement as they need. We're also, as Paula mentioned, looking for safety issues. So we're there to ensure your safety, to make sure, like, for instance, that your smoke detectors are up to date. So we'll test those. We'll look at the date. We'll advise you on, if some need to be replaced or if they're fine, that sort of thing. The thing to understand is that it's not an aesthetic inspection. So we won't report on things that would be aesthetic by nature, meaning the next point is not a punch list. So oftentimes people can confuse a home inspection with like a builder punch list when you're buying a new home. When you're buying a home that's been occupied and used and is years old, we're not supposed to comment or report on things that are aesthetic in nature because your seller wouldn't be under any kind of obligation to, for instance, repaint the house or if there's surfaces that are worn because they're old, but they're still functional, they wouldn't be required to replace those kind of things. So ASHI standards. This is directly from the ASHI standards, and we're going to talk through some of these things. It says the inspector shall inspect readily accessible, visually observable installed systems and components listed in this standard. Oh, actually, you know what? I didn't want to go through all these. I'm going to back up and take some more time on each of the other points. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what the areas are that we inspect, but let me go back a minute. Because I want to touch on some of these things. So it says that we can only report on what we can see, assess, and operate. And I also mentioned the idea of limitations. What do you think might be, and I'd love it if somebody threw in the chat here, a limitation on an inspection? Or if you want to just unmic and throw things out. What might limit an inspector from seeing something on a house?
I'm going to
Utility.
say weather.
Weather, yes, that's a good one. So if there's snow on the roof, do you think we can actually see the shingles and tell you the age? No, probably not. What's another one? Anybody have another good one? What about in an occupied house? What might be a limitation there?
Utilities not on.
Utilities not on. That would definitely be one. Great answer, but I was thinking more of like furniture. So in a house that has furniture, a home inspector is not supposed to climb on other people's furniture to, like, for instance, open the window and test the locks to make sure they work, which is part of our standard of practice and what we should do. But there are often limitations on an inspection, and like in a master bedroom that has a bed in front of the window, in front of an outlet, we're not moving the bed to test that outlet. So that's an example of a limitation. Let's see. Oh, and I wanted to touch a little bit more on, so let me just explain what a latent defect is. Latent defect would be something that when we're testing the function of the equipment or doing a visual inspection, like you can think of it as, sometimes you buy an appliance or a car that's like a lemon, that really over time just falls apart or whatever. So a house is made up of many different components and pieces, all made by different manufacturers. And sometimes, there might be something that would be a latent defect with that piece of the house or the way the house was built that would not be something we would necessarily be able to tell or uncover in an inspection. So kind of goes hand in hand with a home inspection is not a warranty or guarantee. And I know a lot of people approach getting a home inspection because, just like Paula said, you want to make sure that when you move in 2 months down the road, you don't have a water heater that fails. Well, neither Paula or I can guarantee that. So even if it's brand new, it could fail, So that's the idea behind those two things. And then another thing I just want to touch on is that it's not a building code inspection. So sometimes people get confused and might ask the question during an inspection, well, does it pass code or does it meet code? The issue is I'm not a building code official. So I don't work for the city of Baltimore, the county of Baltimore, or whatever jurisdiction I'm doing an inspection in. I have no authority. Really, the only authority I have is what you and I have entered into contract for, and that authority is simply the information that allows you to negotiate your contract. So I don't really have any authority to enforce anything, like to tell the seller they have to do this or that, because I don't have that authority. And people confuse that. And the reason being, not only am I not a code official, as I mentioned already, houses, as they're bought and sold, are not required to be brought up to current codes. And also, building codes change over time. So, for instance, GFCI receptacles, which are the little receptacles that have the button on them that trips, that's a safety feature. And the reason those were first started to be used or required by code in bathrooms. And I remember this because I'm an old guy. Back in the 80s when, people had feathered hair and were using a lot of blow dryers, somebody dropped a blow dryer in the tub and got electrocuted, right? So that's when they started to require GFCI receptacles being in bathrooms. And then a few years down the road, they adopted the code again and changed it to be required in kitchens because there's sinks there. And then now they're, required to be in basements and on exterior of the house, etc. But oftentimes when I'm inspecting an older home, I'll be inspecting a home that was built in one of those time frames that might have GFCI receptacles maybe just in the bathroom and not in the kitchen. So I would make a comment about installing GFCI receptacles in the kitchen because that's not just a code issue, it's also a safety issue. So just so you understand that kind of framework. So we're um, looking for damage, testing for function, and ensuring your safety. So I'm going to just, let's see, how much time do I have left here? Or is that Paula, what's left? Should I just
I think you're
wrap
like
it
down
up?
to your last 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, that's fine. I'll just go through this real quick. So these are just the components that we are required by ASHI standards to inspect. And of course, there's limitations on these, like framing. This is showing a picture of a house that's under construction. So oftentimes we can't actually see the floor structure or the wall structure or the roof structure, like on a flat roof house where there's no attic to inspect. We look at the exterior, the roofing. This is and I put this slide in there. It's kind of funny because this would be a limitation, of course. It's too steep and it's too slippery. We wouldn't be climbing on this roof. And just to make the point that the standard actually doesn't require a home inspector to climb on the roof. Plumbing, we test all the systems, make sure you have hot and cold running water. We're looking to see if there's leaks anywhere, anything that's damaged or not functional. So we test all the toilets, tubs, faucets, sinks, etc. Same with the electrical system. Oops. We would report on the service connection, the size of your service, the type of wiring, make sure things are functioning properly. And then one of the things to understand too is that the ASHI language talks about a representative sample. So a home inspector is not actually required to test every single outlet or every single light or every window. And the reason is because of what I talked about earlier. Sometimes there's limitations. So the ASHI standard accounts for that by requiring that we do a representative sample. And the reason for that is we're helping you to understand the general condition of the house, liabilities you might have, but you could move in and find one outlet that doesn't work because there was a couch in front of it. So that doesn't necessarily mean a home inspector missed that. And then HVAC, of course, we test your furnace and air conditioning. We're supposed to look in the attic and report on these things. Sometimes an attic is inaccessible, so that would be a limitation. Fireplaces and chimneys, we're only required to look at the visible parts. Windows and doors, we test all those for function, but like here's an example of a aesthetic issue. It's damaged. I might note it as damaged, but it's still operable. Oops. So that's basically it. Any questions? And if you want, you can scan my QR code there and get my information, or of course, Paula has it because we worked together many times.
Yes. Joseph, thank you so much. We are going to hold questions to the very end.
Oh,
Please feel
okay, great.
free, those individuals, if you want to put your questions, if you have some questions, just put them in the chat. If you notice, we have been answering some of those questions in the chat as well. And so now, Joseph, thank you for sharing all of that useful information about what to expect at a home inspection, what it is and what it is not. And so next up, we want to bring forward our beautiful Kiana Moore with insurance title. Kiana, we want you to tell us what's up with all of that paperwork at the signing table. So go ahead, introduce yourself, and feel free to share your screen.
Okay. Can you all see me? I just unmuted myself.
Yes.
Okay. So I will share my screen and tell you a little bit about title. The reason I love doing seminars is a lot of buyers don't know if they need title. So I'm here to kind of let you know what we do behind the scenes and why you need a title company. So I will share my screen now. Can you see like several screens or just one?
We see all of
Several.
your slides. So you
Okay.
probably want to hit present.
I
Or
think
just from the beginning when you all the way over the list. Yeah.
there we go.
There we are.
Okay. So we have two offices. We have an office in Columbia and we have an office in Frederick. We love when people come to our office in one of our locations so that we can celebrate you. We have a pretty cool room that we celebrate all of our buyers. But if you can't for any reason, we do have outside notaries. So we will go to your home, we'll go to Starbucks, we'll go to the property address. We want to make it as convenient as possible for you, but we love when you come in so that we can celebrate you on one of the biggest purchases of your life. So what do? We handle your closing, which a lot of people know us most for. You need a title company to handle the closing. Yes, we do that, but we do a couple other things as well. We handle your escrows and we provide you protection through title insurance. Title insurance is a one-time fee that is paid at the time of closing. You are covered as long as you have ownership to the property. Owner's title insurance protects your ownership to the property. So a lot of people, they're like, I don't know if I need title insurance and I don't need another bill. It's a one-time fee. And a lot of people don't know that or they don't understand that, but you pay it one time. It's included in your closing costs and you're covered until you sell the property. So I kind of look at it like car insurance. If I could get a car and pay my car insurance one time when I purchase and I'm covered until I sell it, I will go ahead and get some insurance. So that's why we push it out to our buyers. It's a good idea to get title insurance. We provide secure communication. So once we receive your contract, you'll get communications through a system called Closing Lock. And with Closing Lock, it's a secure portal that we use to communicate some wiring instructions, and everyone involved in the transaction is protected. Wire fraud is at an all-time high. A lot of people are trying to figure out quick ways to get other people's money. So as your title company, we are doing a lot of things and we've included a lot of new measures to protect you and everyone else involved. Just really quickly, what happens in a lot of these situations is that a hacker will hack the buyer's email and they'll be able to see all the details of the transaction. So they see that you're working with Paula, they see emails with Pam, they see all of the details of your transaction. They know how much you're supposed to wire. They know what day your closing is. They just by getting into your email account. So that's why we have Closing Lock. So now it's a secure portal that they can't get into. Once we receive your contract, we go back 60 years. So title, we're doing research on the property. So we're going back 60 years on the property just to make sure that anything that is attached to that property and needs to be paid off, that we make sure it's resolved before you take ownership to that property at the closing table. And then we provide title insurance, which I talked about a little bit, but just to give you an example, if there is a contractor that did work on a home that you're about to purchase, the contractor did work on it and the current seller never paid them. That contractor, if they were to come back looking for that money, that's when your title insurance would come into place. So again, it's protecting you and your ownership to the property as a one-time fee. If I could do that, wouldn't you all just do that? If you can get insurance, pay it one time and you're covered, I would do that. I would do it. Okay. And then, so assurance title, we work with everybody involved. Well, your title company works with everybody involved. We work with the seller, the buyer, the lender, realtor, and any tax offices as well. So we're a mutual party between everyone. We will hold all the funds. So when your lender sends over your funds to closing, they will send it over to the title company. When the buyer is sending their funds that is needed for closing, they're going to send it over to the title company. So we will collect all of the funds needed in order to have the transaction completed successfully. And then we disperse the files after. So we're paying off the seller's payoff statements, any judgments, anything that needs to be paid. We collect that money at closing, and then we pay everything off after you've gone to the settlement table. You want to make sure that your agent and you are reviewing your closing statement before you get to the closing table when possible. Again, another reason why it's really good to have a solid team that you're working with, because Pam would know we have to get these documents to the agent as quickly as possible so it can be reviewed before we get to the closing table. We don't want people getting to the closing table and then like, oh no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is missing. So you want to find all those things before we get to the closing table. So our team will work together so that we make it as smooth as possible. And truly, it all starts with Paula. Paula is going to pick her team. She knows who works well with who's getting the job done to make it as easy and as smooth as possible for her clients. Again, one check is provided to the title company, and then we handle all the disbursements. So although the title company isn't someone that, it's a good thing if you don't hear a lot from us, because that means that we're doing a lot of the work behind the scenes, we're taking care of things, and we're getting you clear for closing. Our closing location. So again, we do have the offices in Frederick and Columbia, but we want to make it as convenient as possible for you. We understand work schedules. We understand kids' schedules. Just this morning, my daughter had a game. So I'm like checking pictures and videos because I couldn't be at her games because I'm here with all of you. But we understand those schedules. So we want to make it as convenient, and we want to get you to the closing table. So if we have to come to you, we will absolutely do that. We do have options to sign electronically, but we stay away from that because of fraud. We've seen a lot of crazy things happen. Now with AI, people are actually they'll take a snap of this seminar and they'll see that Paula was talking. It'll be Paula's face, and Paula will be saying, hey, we're so excited to see you at our address here. You'll get some wiring instructions coming from this email address, and it's all AI. So for that, we try to stay away from any electronic closings, and we do everything in person. But that option is available in those like dire situations, but we do try to stay away from it. Split settlements are possible. So if a buyer and seller can't get together at the same time, we can sign the seller first. We have to sign the seller first, and then we can sign the buyer separately. So that is an option, but we love it when everyone comes together at the closing table when possible. We also have the picture on this slide with the little boy. His name is Lucas. If you have a child that is coming to closing and they're say under 7 years old, where it'll be like fun for them, you just let your processor know, you let us know, we'll create a children's deed where they buy Legoland or 123 Lego Street and they get their pictures. Like, we want to make it an experience for the whole family. So if children are coming, we can get them to sign their deed where they're buying 123 Lego Street, they get a Lego house, and they feel like they made a purchase as well. So we not only want to celebrate you, but we want to celebrate your family as well. If mom and dad want to come, if grandparents want to come, we welcome the family to the celebration. So never think that you're going to bother us by walking in with the family. Bring the family on in. We welcome them. We have snacks and everything for everybody. So if the seller, if a buyer is purchasing a home and the seller has a title insurance policy already, if they provide that to us, the title company, that buyer will get a discounted rate on their title insurance. So that one-time fee I'm talking about that covers you until you sell the property, if the seller already has a title insurance policy, that fee that you're paying will be reduced even more. That's called a reissue rate. So again, working with someone like Paula who knows this, she will get ahead of this. We're going to save you money without you even knowing. She's doing the work behind the scenes with the title companies in order to get documents, in order to get you some money saved. It's really, really, really important that buyers know to never pay for a copy of their deed. I see this happening more frequently now, where you will buy a home and it's public record. So your deed is recorded on public record along with something called a first-time home buyer affidavit. This is the red flag to anyone that is trying to do anything fraudulent. They'll say, okay, we got a first-time home buyer here. We're going to reach out to them and say, hey, in order to get a copy of your deed, it's just $99. You can send us over $99 and we'll get you your deed. Your buyers, as a buyer, you will never, ever, ever have to pay for a copy of your deed. Once we get it recorded with the county, we will send that document over to you, the recorded original deed to you. You never have to pay for a copy of it. The biggest thing is if you feel like something might be off, if something feels wrong, reach out to Paula, reach out to the title company. We're here to be a resource to you, okay? And then we'll send out reminders as well about a homestead tax credit. A lot of people don't know about a homestead tax credit, but it limits the amount that your property taxes can be increased each year. The requirement is that you live in the property for a year and that is your primary residence. Once you meet those two requirements, then you will get instructions on how to apply. It's a 1, 2, 3 process. We will provide all the information that you need in order to apply, along with a reminder. And Paula will reach out to you on your home anniversary anyway. So while she's doing that, we're just going to let you know some information about your homestead tax credit. Lastly, I feel like we're like the best of the best company. I love Assurance Title. So our team is always ready to celebrate you. We have literally handpicked our team of people that all have the same goal for all of our clients. So we love working with Paula. We love working with all of our teams, but it's more important that you leave that closing table feeling like you were valued, you were appreciated, you were celebrated. We have now it's about 300 5-star Google reviews online. So if you don't believe what I'm saying, just look us up. Just look us up, you know? But I just wanted to give you a quick, behind the scenes of what a title company is, and that we're more than just the people that bring the stack of papers to you at the closing table. We do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. We look out for you before closing, during, and after. And that's all I got. But thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kiana, for all of that information. And just like Kiana said, they support you from the beginning, during, and all the way to the end. And when they say that they make it a big celebration, you have no idea. We have music, we have snacks, we have confetti. I mean, we really do want to make it a memorable moment for you. I mean, purchasing a home, this is one of the biggest purchases that you're going to make in life. Do you just want to sign a piece of paper or a stack of papers and leave with some keys and say thank you? No, we want to make it really memorable. So thank you, Kiana, for sharing all of that information with us. And we are going to move on to the next part of our presentation, which is questions and answers. So there were a few questions in the chat, and Kiana, specifically one that came up when you were speaking. So if anyone wants to take yourself off of mute, please feel free to do that and ask a question of any of our presenters, whether that's Lori, as it relates to credit, whether it is to Pam as it relates to lending money, down payment assistance, grant programs, or if it's to Joseph as it relates to what about home inspection, what it is, what is not, and of course, Kiana. So, oops, let me go back. Not that yet. Let me see here. I want to bring up I'm going to bring up the chat because there was a question in there. Here it is. So Dee asked, example for title companies. Say someone has solar panels installed, but do not pay the contractor. Would this be something they would found? So I guess she wants to know, does her title insurance protect her from this? This is something I haven't even heard about before.
Yeah, so with solar panels, they can be tricky, but we have a system called Win Listings that Paula utilizes, and we'll find out information on. So say you found a home that you loved. You sent it over to Paula. Paula sends us over a request for a Win Listings report, which is a free preliminary review. So before you even put in a contract on this property, we're going to look into this property and we'll find this information out. So one, we're giving you the option of, do you want to purchase a property that has maybe some solar panel issues? So you'll know that in advance. And then if there's something that is due on those solar panels, we will find that through our title clearance process. So yes, we will find it. But the goal is to get that resolved before you take ownership to the property. So not after, when you would need your title insurance. We want to clear that up and get that resolved before you take ownership.
Great. And I have had clients that purchased properties with solar panels. Fortunately, there were no issues, and they simply needed the contact information to have those solar panels transferred over to the new homeowner, which was not an issue. And that is something that, again, I find out with when listings through Assurance Title. So, Kiana, thank you for that. Let's see if there were any other questions.
Paula, I did want to add too. Um,
Yes.
it's important for buyers to know the title company will reach out to you. Please get back to your processor. If there's information that we need to avoid any delays, if we're getting we need, documentation from you, if we have a question for you, just respond back to your processor because that can cause a lot of delays. And with your lender as well. If your lender needs information from you, that's not something you want to hold back on. Get that stuff to us as quickly as possible so we can make it as smooth as possible.
And as you say that, Kiana, absolutely. Again, as your realtor, this is one of the things that I make sure that you stay on top of as we're moving through the process. I don't let you miss any deadlines. As Kiana, the lender, as they're communicating with you, they're also communicating with me. So they may ask a question and I may follow up. Hey, did you get that information over to the lender? Hey, the title company is asking for bank statements for the past 30 days. Have you gotten all that over to them? So we are behind you again to support you through this because purchasing a home, first time or any time, it is a lot. But you have a team behind you that's going to help you every step of the way. All right. So before I move on, are there any other questions? Anyone need to come off of mute to ask any questions? Hang on, we got one. Let's see here. Oh, D was just saying yes, she got it. Okay, cool. Did you, wait a minute. Yes, you have another question. D, do you want to come off of mute? It looks like you're trying to ask something. I'm not sure what that means. Are you able to come off of mute so that you can ask that question? Okay, she says she's trying to unmute. Let
Hello?
me see here. There
Hello?
you are. We
Okay,
hear
I
you.
apologize. It keeps going into my microphone is unmuted because I'm in safe driving mode. I
Oh, I
apologize.
see.
Okay,
Okay.
so one of my questions, I believe, for the lender, because I know Pamela, because they will ask for documentation. And like I guess for W-2s and things of that such. So my issue, along with credit, is I have been out of work for like 2.5 years. I was out on workers' comp. So financially, my finances took a big dive
Mhm.
because I was only getting like 66 and two-thirds of my salary. However, I returned to work back in December, not quite a full year, and getting back on the right track, financially.
Mhm.
So, how would that affect me as far as not having documentation of prior W-2s? Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Pam? Is Pam there? Did she fall off?
No, I can see her, but she's muted.
She
Oh,
needs to.
Pam, can you unmute yourself? Let me see here.
Can you guys
Oh, Go ahead, do it again. Unmute yourself.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, yeah, so good question. You've also been back at your job for a year. So as long as you had, prior to you being out of work, did you have 24 months of consecutive work history prior to you being out?
Yes, I've been with the company since like 2002. So yes.
Yep. So that should not be a problem. The one thing that we would look at, and this is getting more granular, is are you a salaried person or do you have what we consider fluctuating income? Worst case scenario, if it's fluctuating, we'd have to wait till December to close. But believe it or not, for all of us, December's in like 5 seconds.
Oh
So,
no, I'm
in
salary.
closing in December, your salary. So yeah, you're totally perfect.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Yeah. Yep.
And
That's not an issue, but thanks for asking. That's a great question where a lot of people, consider themselves not eligible. That's not the case at all.
Okay, thank you.
yes, and
You're welcome.
Pam would go through great discussion with you as when you sit down to meet with her, you're able to tell her everything that's going on with you. I always tell people never keep any secrets from your lender, so that they're able to help you through whatever your situation is. So yes, I, I think we have some feedback. Oh, okay, got it. All right. Any other questions before we move on? Okay. All right. So before we move on to our prize drawing, I would like for you guys go on right now. I want you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at PRA Investments. There, you'll be able to get other information, resources. You'll be able to see properties that are available. And of course, my Saturdays, you all know what Saturdays are for. Saturdays are for open houses. You'll be able to see that information. You'll be able to see my interactions with oftentimes the very presenters that are here on the screen. This is just a fun way of getting into real estate and learning more about that home buying process. So again, make sure you follow me on all platforms, Facebook and Instagram at PRA Investments, okay? Now, the prize giveaway. Now, I have to pause right here because I'm gonna have to stop sharing my screen in order to bring up the prize wheel. So give me just a moment. Give me just a moment.